In this video, we'll take a look at how to create an animated visualization in Tableau, specifically an animated map, and how to show those paths and patterns of movement. In this exercise, we'll use the same data set referenced in the book we're using and use that as a practice to create our first moving map visualization. So we connect to our data source in Tableau, and first things first, we move our latitude, and we notice that these are identified as globes, right? So we know that these have geographic roles. So our latitude goes to rows, our longitude goes to columns. That will automatically bring up our map, and we can see here is our map. And so after doing that, we want to identify the name of the storm and the basins in which they were located. So in this case, the name of the storm, and we'll drag name to the labels shelf. So here we go. And now we want to add color to each basin to show where they were. So we take basin and pull that to the color shelf. And I'll drag this over here. And so this doesn't necessarily tell us much of interest to us. We'd like to actually watch the pathway of each storm as it moved and progressed. So it's actually not that hard to do in Tableau, but it looks a lot extra and real fancy. And in the right circumstance, it's a great visual for your data consumers. So I would change my marks card from automatic to line. And when I do that, you'll notice that lines pop up, and we have to fix those. And we can, because this path line here in the marks card area shows up. So path we've used before. And we take the data field ISO time, right, which is the time given points in time where these storms landed, or what they were doing hour by hour and day by day, right? We grab ISO time, and we notice that it's a date marker because it's coded here as a date in time. We drag that into the path. And so by doing that, what we're telling is that the pathway is going to be associated with the time. And so right here, this means year. And so we want to narrow that time down, and we want to go hour by hour. So we go into the blue pill, and we go down to here, and hour's not listed straight up, right? So we want to go and find more an hour. There we find our pathways, right? So these are the paths, but we don't know time's arrow. So we don't know where it started and where it finished. And so we know that it went on this pathway, but which way did it go? I can make some guesses, but we probably don't want to do that. We don't want to leave our data consumers guessing too much. So, before we get to hour by hour and minute by minute and that motion, we might also want to look at which storms were stronger than others, or the size. And so if we go here to wind and we look at the winds that each of the storms had, and we drag winds to size, what we'll find out is which storms, right, were windier and had more winds than others. So which storms were very, very strong compared to others. Okay. Now if we move basin here to the filter shelf, we can also, and I would like to move this here, And I also like to show my filter shelf, so show filter, and move that here. So I can always select all, or I can select different ones. Okay. We'll go back to all. Okay. So we have this hurricane season. It's on this map. Now, we want to also associate each one with a particular color, not just the basin. So if we take name and we drag that to color, this becomes much more informative. So if we check out our basins, the South Pacific Basin, right? And now we have the different names, and notice the strengths, right? But we want to show times arrow, and that's a bit of a challenge. Not so much of a challenge in Tableau because there's an easy way to do it. We take ISO time and we use this thing called the pages shelf. We'll talk a little bit more about the pages shelf as we do dashboards. In this pages shelf, right, we can change this pill, just like we can change the pill in any part of Tableau, right? And we want to go down and we want to select day. And so we want this to say day ISO time. And if we go here and we see that we've selected day, okay? Now over in this control box, we see show history, and it shows the date. Now if I press play, it's going to go day by day, showing the different storms. And so you can watch the entire hurricane season of 2012 as it rolls out. Notice how the dates change here. See, we're only into March. You can also do pull downs. Now when I zoom on the map, it automatically pauses so I can go forward or backward. And so I've now placed my data consumers in a position where they can watch a particular hurricane season unfold. We can also show the different paths that these can take. Now, if you're looking to, say, visualize transit routes or things like that, this is a similar technique, and it's not that far different. So practice this, work along with the image. I know this was a short demo. It's actually it looks complicated, but it's actually one of the easiest techniques you'll have in using Tableau. It's pretty intuitive, and then practicing the exercise.